Entrepreneur MBA podcast purpose is to help existing business owners grow their companies past the 10 million in revenue per year benchmark. Here is your host, Stephen Halasnik.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Stephen Halasnik, and I'm co-founder of Financing Solutions. Financing Solution provides easy-to-set-up business lines of credits for small business, and I will be your host for today's Entrepreneur MBA podcast. If you're interested in learning more about a line of credit for your business, please visit our website at fscreditline.com. That's FS, it's in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. And you can learn more. Over the last 25 years, I've built 6 companies in the $5 million to $25 million range, including 2 companies on the Inc. 500 fastest growing companies in the United States. And during that time, I would tell you, I almost always had a line of credit in place. I just think it's so valuable. And that's the reason why we started Financing Solutions 10 years ago. We just felt that it was something that businesses really needed. I love learning from people with business experience. And today I'm excited to be speaking with Simon Severino from Strategy Sprints. Simon helps business owners in SaaS and service run their company more effectively and efficiently, which results in sales that soar. Trusted by Google, Roche, Consilience Ventures, Amgen, and AbbVie, he created the Strategy Sprints method that doubles revenue in 90 days by getting owners out of the weeds. Simon is a TEDx speaker and a contributor to Forbes, the Entrepreneur magazine, and a member of the SVBS Silicon Valley Blockchain Society. Simon, welcome to today's Entrepreneur MBA podcast.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
When you spoke on TEDx, what was your topic?
It was about how your weirdness is also your main asset and
Oh,
how you
yeah.
can use that for strategic differentiation.
Yeah, weirdness as a company or weirdness as a person?
That was for people because TEDx is a very broad
Yeah,
thing. So it's listened by everybody. And so I did it on the person level. But the
yeah.
same thing is also when you run a company, it's the same thing. What's differentiating you? What makes you unique? Why is your offer the right offer?
Yeah, I think this is going to be controversial what I say, but I think there's certainly time. I think this seems that the more weird you are in business, the more successful you are in business, but not the more successful you are in life. Like, it seems to me that people who are very, very creative and have this weirdness to them, uh, they're they do really well because they're unique. And it seems like the workforce now needs unique people, not people who follow the rules. What do you think about that?
I think everybody's unique and the world needs
Well,
that
that's true.
uniqueness.
That's true. Yes.
And sometimes we can mimicry, like we can conform ourselves and just show the side that is like everybody else. But I think the magic is really in the weird part, in the part that is different. And the more people are confident that this edge of themselves is actually magic. It's actually something that we need as a society and we need in business. We need more critical thinking. We need more different approaches. And that makes the world colorful and that makes the economy also interesting and creative and fun, actually, because there is so many different things to experience. It's a festival of differences. So I'm all for critical thinking, for being who you are, and that makes the world really, really much more interesting.
Yeah, I know that a while ago I was reading an article about the differences between the United States and a country such as Japan, and that people underestimate in the United States. Just an example of the United States, because Europe has it as well. But even then, uh, the multi uh, ethnicity in the United States is such a strategic strength of the country. The ability that we have to come up with unique ideas, from different perspectives. And what the article was about was how Japan really struggles with that because they don't really embrace immigration in Japan. And so I think it validates what your topic was about at TEDx because it's the uniqueness and the difference in us that makes, let's just talk about business, a very successful businesses. Would you agree with that?
I'm a firm proposer of differences. And that's why I love the free market, because the free market allows all differences to unfold, and that's what makes entrepreneurialism possible and innovation possible. And we live right now in very, very exciting, also very disruptive times, where you have both. You have recession and inflation on the one side, but also you have what's what's being destroyed creates space for the new solutions. And these are also the most innovative times. If you think of the last recession, that was when today's winners were created, and technologies came up that were accelerated via those conditions. So right now, it's tough to run a business, but it's also full of opportunities.
Yeah,
We will have to
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
we will have to let go of some parts, some products, some of our behaviors and routines. But there is a whole wide opportunity space opening up. And we can crush it with our businesses if we tap into that innovation zone. And so it's both, it's destruction and creation at once. That's what the economy is about. And in these times, you see it just more intensely.
Yeah, I've been through three recessions. So, the thing I've learned is that every 10 years, there's usually a major recession. And those recessions uh, tend to weed out the weaker companies, and the better companies thrive once the recession's over. And, uh, I think, I don't know if I think that COVID is going to have the same reaction. I mean, yes, you could say there's the effect on people being able to now work from home, and that's a major shift. But I'm really curious to see if really innovative ideas came out of that COVID period, because I think it took people so long to, one, get used to the change that it was affecting us,
Well, then
and
let me tell you a story from our community.
yes, please.
Week it was March when the lockdowns started,
Yes.
and we were all in shock. So I created a mastermind, a weekly mastermind every Monday, open for everybody for free. Just business owners come together. Let's talk about it, and we called it um, handling the situation. Handling the situation. Who wants to talk about handling the situation? Come in, let's talk. And so entrepreneurs from everywhere came in. We were around 50 people in the first session. And one Australian guy says, I'm building things out of wood. So I'm building tables. And no, he was building stages, big stages
Oh,
for 5,000 people events,
yeah.
like the rock stages, right, for
Yep.
musicians.
Yep.
And he says, from one day to the other, I have zero revenue. It's over. And I said, all right, how do you handle that? And so week by week, we were there together, from shock to creating meaning, collecting data, generating ideas, unfreezing a little bit. By week 3, he says, guys, I've realized that the same material we can just put together in a different way. People are at home now in lockdown. They don't have tables. I have so much wood from the stages, and I have the best people to build tables. So we are gonna pivot from building stages to building tables, and we're gonna ship those tables to people who need them in their living room, because they need a small niche where they can have a desk, because they're working from home and they are not prepared for that. So they need those little desks. We are building 1,000 desks right now and shipping them. From there, week later, he says, that's going really well. And now old women are calling us, they need a bridge table. They always wanted a bridge table, but it was never so affordable. We have now this affordable small table. So we are adding the bridge table that you can
Yeah.
put away when you're not playing, and you build it up when you're playing. So they became super innovative in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, that I kind of assumed was going to go on pivoting. I think when you have an existing business where you know the revenue is not there and you have to make a decision to pivot, I think that's an easier decision. I think it's the ones I talk about for the startup where they didn't have an existing business, because it was just the idea of, I just kind of feel like a lot of startup businesses are not done by just one person, that you need that other person there to share ideas with. I don't know what the stats are about new businesses starting with more than one person versus businesses starting just sole by one person. I mean, when I started my business, my first three, it was just, I didn't have a partner. So, you know, but you know what? Let's dive into today's topic, which is the three CEO habits every owner needs, and we probably can, parlay it into our discussion that we've had so far. But on the top of the list, number one, and again, keep in mind that the our listeners are $5 million and smaller in revenue right now, looking to get over 10 million. Right, so these are smaller businesses. These are business owners who are still developing their skills. What would you say it's the number one most important CEO habit for successful business ownership?
In these times, when it's tougher than tough, 95% is not in your control. The supply chain is not in your control. The market is not in your control. What is really in your control when you are below 5 million or at 5 million? What is really in your control? The three habits that we use ourselves, I use them every day, and we share them with our clients when we coach them, is really the daily habit, weekly habit, monthly habit are the only three things that are in your control. But if you control them, you are running your business instead of your business running you under all weather conditions. So, under changing conditions. Daily habit. How do you allocate your time and what will you delegate, automate, outsource tomorrow? Because when you are at around 1 to 5 million, the game is now to scale. So, what brought you here will not bring you to the next. You have to get out of the weeds. You are probably still in some form working in the business. And so we have to get you out of in the business and work on only on the business. This is time to have to divide your business into the marketing department, the sales department, and the operations department, and have one person each running that. And you just work on the business, not in the business. So, how do you get there? By every day writing down how you are allocating your time. And in the evening, you ask yourself two questions. And I have a template for that if people want to download the template in the end of the episode. It's the daily flow that I use every day. So I write down, this is my flow of today. And then it asks me two reflective questions. One is, of all these things, which one will I delegate tomorrow? And the second question is, if I would live more freely and more intentionally, what would I do tomorrow? And now, informed by this 3 minutes exercise, I create the flow of tomorrow, the agenda of tomorrow. That's the daily habit, because this is always in your control. Whatever happens, you control how you respond to things. Supply chains break, okay, but you control how you respond to that. What will you do in the morning? What will you do in the afternoon? That's in your control. That's the daily habit. Weekly habit, get your three main numbers, because otherwise you are flying blind. And what are the main three numbers? Are the three numbers that tell you if they're moving in the right direction at the right pace. So again, if we simplify, one marketing number, one sales number, and one operations number of this week. So marketing number can be how many people new people were on our website this week, how many of them want really to talk to us. Sales number is pretty straightforward. Number of sales conversation, dollar number that you closed, and percentage. Operations number, how many client referrals did we get? Clients that are so happy that they referred us to somebody. How many referrals asked did we do, our team? How many times did we ask? And how many pissed off clients we turned into happy clients because we reacted quickly and implemented what they were missing. So this can be your simple dashboard. That's the weekly habit, is to get those numbers reported every week. Somebody in your teams, they prepare them, and we have a blueprint, a template for our clients. So they just every Friday, they just look at these three numbers. It's visualized, and they see it going up by 1%. If it's not going up by 1%, then they stop and they do half an hour deep dive. Okay, what's going on? Let's find out. That's the weekly habit. And the monthly habit is budgeting accordingly to where are you winning right now compared to your competition, and where are you losing right now compared to your competition. Your top 10 features, we analyze them with the equalizer. It's our tool. It's a simple spreadsheet, but it helps you. It creates two buckets on the left side where you're losing right now against your competitor. This is where you will cut 15% costs in the next month's budget. And you will reinvest those 15% on the right side where you are currently winning. So there are two features where you are currently winning. This week you are winning from the perspective of your client against your competitors. So you are better in A and B. And now you put 15% more, you invest 15% more time and resources into that. You will crush it. And you are strategically positioned. You are harder to get, harder to attack, harder for other people to get your clients, because you are already winning in those two things, and now 15% more. So your strategic advantage is always a little bit more compared to your competitors. And this is what you want to have.
Yeah, it's amazing. I look back at when I started my first couple of businesses, and where I put my time was just, it's if you're a good business person, honestly, you don't work 70 or 80 hours a week. You really learn to whittle that down. I think it's about, like, I agree with what you're saying, definitely, especially the first one was well put. Time management. Where do I put my time? And I think that is, really key. Um, I think when you first start your business, I think, you definitely have to work a lot in it. And I think that helps you become a better business person to understand the business. But as soon as the revenue allows you, you got to start working on the business and not in the business. And by the way, that was a Michael Gerber. Um, that's that. He's a famous author that uh, wrote that a long, long time ago. You need to work on the business, not in the business. I was thinking as you were before you were answering the question, I was thinking, what would my three be, right? And again, you've had time to think about it, right? I think number one is right. You're right. It's your time management. Like, I don't know if, having not heard you talk about your three, if I would have thought of that as one of the top three, but I think that is number one, is time management. Number two, I think we were very similar. I think you got to really know your numbers, right? So you have to track things. You have to have KPIs. You have to, make sure you're looking at your numbers. Make sure you know how to read an income statement and a balance sheet, and you're tracking those things. The third one, I think I would say, well, I'm a real big guy for lead generation. I just think that if you don't have a marketing, I call it a lead generation program, you don't have a business, right? You could have the best quote unquote tables in the world, but if you can't get clients to come to you inexpensively and then you make good money off of them, then I think that you got a problem. And I think a lot of small businesses, they struggle in they struggle in the area of uh, We have a technical problem, huh? So we struggle in the area of lead generation or marketing. We spend a lot of time on product, and I think that's a little bit of an issue. So, uh, I think that those were my top three: time management, number two, knowing your financials and having KPIs, and three, making sure you have lead generation. And a good way to know if you have lead generation is to understand if you understand your cost of acquisition. What did it cost you to acquire a client, and what did you make off of that client or clients on average? So those were my kind of off the top of my head, my top three. But I like what you're.
Yeah, in the weekly habit, that's the marketing number. That's the
Yeah.
lead gen is a marketing number. How do you fill the pipeline? And sales numbers are how much do you close from that pipeline? And it's so important. People who might be at the beginning of their sales journey, they sometimes like skip filling the pipeline for a couple weeks. Let's say, oh, over holidays, let's relax a little bit. And then January comes and the pipeline is half full. And then they have a sales problem. So I'm happy that you say lead gen because this is something that people really, however they call them, prospecting, starting conversation, just have as many conversations with the right people as possible per week and make sure you always fill that pipeline with real, true, valuable conversations because that pipeline you will need in sales to create a repeatable and reliable closing stream.
Yeah, I think it depends on the business. Some businesses aren't they're built for, you know, not a lot of talking interaction between clients. They're more transactional type of thing. So, I think I think if you have that type of business, I think you also have to make sure you're talking to clients regardless. Um so let's go back to the conversation that we had about weirdness or what what do you think when you've met CEOs who are successful in business, what characteristics do you see that they have personally that plays well into the success of the business?
I've seen so many CEOs where after working with them 20 years and now they are on their ship on the Mediterranean and they call me 11 in the evening and I go, come on, you don't need it. You can enjoy your
Yeah.
wine, enjoy your ship. Why are you calling me? Yes, Simon, let's start this new thing. I have this new idea. And so, first time I saw that, I was like, okay, that's this person. And then the second client, same thing. And the 10th and the 15th. And now I realize that's how we are wired. We don't do this for the outcome. So whenever you sell it and you made a fortune, it's not over because it's not about the
Yeah.
fortune. It's about the game, the journey, the experience, the here and now, this excitement of finding out a better way to create something and getting these endorphins when you see that the other side says, "Oh yeah, this is really much better. You have improved my life."
Yeah, it's a game. I think it's a weird way to put it, but it is a game that you like to play. You really enjoy it. And so I agree with you. I think uh, some of the very, very successful entrepreneurs that I know, though, I would say is successful in the way of how they really created very, very big companies. They they don't have much personal life. Their business is their baby, and a lot of things get sacrificed for that reason. That's some of the experiences I've had of some business owners I know have very, very big companies. They are working those 80, 90 hours a week and they love it. But then they often have problems at home or, you know, other issues, or they don't have other interests. Their hobby is the business. I'm not saying everybody's that way, but that's been a generalization that I've seen. And I, like know a lot of business owners. So, uh, what else have you noticed in successful? So, you're saying is successful business owners, a unique trait they have is money's not the primary motivator anymore. It's building something. Is that what you're saying?
You start because that's who you are. You are utterly unemployable. You are very creative, and you are able to create something out of nothing. That's your superpower. And so that's the kind of animal that entrepreneurs are, and they are full of energy, and they just create. So, and that's beautiful. It drives the economy, drives innovation. We create jobs, and then the second part is you have to divide the ego from the thing that you are building for two reasons. First, because you become the bottleneck of your growth, of the growth of your business. And it's not about you anymore. Yes, that your passion started it, but now it's much bigger. Now it's about the space between. Let's say you were the dancer, now you are the dance floor. Now you are, making sure that everybody can dance and more people can dance. And that happens by removing yourself, removing you physically from the weeds, from the thing. And that's not easy as a transition. I went through it myself, and I had a coach. Without him, I could never have done it. He said, Simon, we have to get you 2 levels above fulfillment. And I said, what is this? And he explained and helped me really break it down into the marketing department, the sales department, the ops department. I was all these departments. And then he said, no, 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 we have to get you out of that. And now you will only work on high leverage things, on big joint ventures, on writing your first book, on scaling via partnerships and affiliate partnerships, etc. Ecosystem building, community building. All these things were completely new for me. I was just passionate about the one thing that I'm building. And so that's quite a shift. And so the successful entrepreneurs are the ones who get that shift right. They realize at some point that this thing is bigger than they are, and that they are the limiting factor. And they are not the dancer anymore, they're the dance floor. And so that shift, if they're happy enough to have a mentor like Michael Gerber, or a blueprint, a set of blueprint like the Strategy Sprints method that I just published, by the way, people can get it on Amazon. It's the blueprint, how you run marketing operations and sales operations in the right way. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've done this with 1,600 people, and now you can take the blueprints and run. So either a mentor or the blueprints, something that really helps you get that shift. And it's both inner work and external work. The external work are those blueprints, and you can get them. The inner work is dividing your ego from the thing. So, and it's really important for both things. First, because otherwise you are hindering the scalability of the business. And second, because if you are too attached, you might get a heart attack, you might burn out. And this also happens. So, how do you not get a heart attack? How do you not burn out? By dividing your self-worth, how you feel, and we are all workaholics when we do this, of course, in some
Yeah.
form. Yeah. But how can we get to a healthy management of this? By dividing how we feel. A great salesman, oh, I'm a genius. A bad salesman, oh God, I'm an idiot. From that, dividing it a little bit more. No, no, no. It's the dance floor, and I'm the curator of the dance floor. I show up and curate the dance floor. I repair this part. I bring in new material. I change some parts. Every day I show up. Every day I improve it. And that's the daily practice. The outcome, I detach myself from the outcome. At some point, we will 10x, and we will 10x multiple times. But I detach myself from feeling today a genius or an idiot, because that roller coaster is not good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember those days. You're right. Oh boy, I forgot the roller coaster feelings that were going around. And what's interesting is the more businesses I built, the longer I went along, the bigger the businesses were, the less that roller coaster feeling was, and I devoided myself of those emotions. That I don't know if it's devoid is the right word, but um, it, and I was less like concerned about the short term and bigger picture looking long term. So yeah, you're right. I forgot about those days. Yeah. In fact, I don't know if you belong to it, but Simon, but I joined the entrepreneur organization, which is 15,000 members throughout the world. And, I haven't mentioned that entrepreneur organization a long time, but I specifically joined that organization 24 years ago now, because of that roller coaster, because I needed help. And, I think that organization is well designed to help you. They put you into a group with other entrepreneurs, and it was interesting. I don't think we ever realized that roller coaster method, but we were all in it, or the 10 guys that were there. What's interesting is, uh, 8 of those 10 guys I still meet with every month 20 years later. You know, we
Yes.
still do that. So,
And it's so important to add this addition of mastermind. So we have been talking about ecosystem and community building. It's both on both sides. It's really important that you are a member of those communities,
yes.
because in some days you just need people just to tell them, oh my god, I lost this contract in that country, I made that legal mistake, this is what it's costing me right now. And they will tell you, oh yeah, I had the same thing, look, take care of this, then do this, then do this. And just having that space, and just being having the possibility just to air this is super important. And 2 hours later you are on to the next thing anyways. But it's super important to have this space that can hold that. The next thing is, in those partnerships you can develop affiliate partners that make introductions. They are already farther than you. They learned something about PR that you can use. You have learned something about operations that they can use. That's super important. And to me, my mastermind is, for me, the most important part of the week. We meet all the time. I'm in the JVC, in the Joint Venture Club. We meet 24/7 in a Slack group, and I'm asking everything like, hey people, I don't want to pay a PR agency for a monthly retainer. Who has one that is performance based? And everybody goes, oh no, I don't. And then the 30th member says, I have one. And it goes, we got it. And now we are all booking that PR agency. These things are small, but you have 5 6 of these decisions to make every day as an entrepreneur, and so they accumulate. So it's really good to have this place where you can just
Yeah.
quickly
And
talk
I,
about
and
this.
just on that note, I see people sometimes in different groups come and go because they feel like they're not getting value out of it. And my one advice I would tell people is, you got to stick it out. You're always going to get more out of it than you put into it, believe it or not. But sometimes you just got to stick it out. It's just a side note of things that I noticed. There were people who joined our group and then decided to leave, and I'm like, boy, you made a huge mistake, because everybody who stayed in my group uh, became very successful. And we really, now it's now it's no longer about business. It's tell you honestly, 5 or 10 years ago, I say 10 years ago, we stopped needing a lot of advice about business, and it's all switched to mostly about family and kids and personal finance. I mean, yeah, once in a while we have a business problem, but after you've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, you kind of know what you're doing. Honestly, I mean, depending on growth, of course, if you're now becoming $100-200 million company, that your skills as an entrepreneur changes. We have a couple of minutes left, and I've been wanting to kind of ask this question to you, Simon, and that is, from your experience, and I'll time in. I'll also chime in my response too. When you think about people who are not successful CEOs, okay, for small businesses under 5 million, what comes to mind to you? The number one thing that you see that they do, which holds them back?
They don't get every 7 days their main numbers reported, so they don't know what's going
Yeah.
on. And then, of course, they cannot possibly take 5 good decisions per day, which is what you need to do as an
Oh,
entrepreneur. So that's why the wrong decisions compound, and then the thing starts to slip away. So one thing is flying blind. If you don't have the weekly dashboard, on what are you basing your decisions? Then on sentiment, on mood, on narratives, on intuition. That's not how you want to build your business. You want to take decisions based on reality, but most people don't have a weekly dashboard. Some people have a monthly dashboard, but who takes decisions once a month? We take decisions every
Yeah.
day. So that's the main thing that I see, and that's why it is really hard to run a
Yeah,
business.
I agree with you. I agree, especially when you're newer at this. That's the biggest thing that you see. Um, I would even say like mine was a little broader, and that is they put their time into things that isn't really going to pay off big time. Like they're spending their time in areas that just really distracts them from the bigger picture. That's what I see.
Yes, especially marketing. Like
Yes.
they think that they have to start their own podcast, but they are not there yet. They need to have
Yeah.
great operations and sales first before they do
Yeah.
anything marketing.
Yeah.
But they spend already a lot of time and sometimes even money on marketing. And I go, "What are you doing?"
Yes.
Before 35K per month coming in while you sleep.
Yeah.
Don't touch
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah, I agree. Like I agree with you. Like where you put like I'm not doing a podcast because I think it's going to be this incredible revenue generator for my company. I started the podcast 4 years ago because I thought it would be fun and it wouldn't take up much of my time. And I saw and I said, maybe it'll grow and I'll be able to contribute some money to the bottom line of financing solutions. But the time that I invested in it wasn't really that big a deal in relation to uh, what it was going to cost me. And it's grown a lot. Now we have thousands of listeners, which I'm shocked with. It's so much so we're actually hiring now after 4 years, we're actually hiring a consultant to kind of advise us to make it better because we're starting to see thousands and thousands of listeners every single podcast, and we're like, oh, maybe there's something here. But the Entrepreneur MBA podcast is a very competitive space, so I don't have this grandiose idea that it's going to go very, very far. And but it's fun and I like doing it, and it's kind of easy. So, but I'm bringing that up by saying is if you think your number one lead generator is going to be podcasts, think again because it's not. So,
It's a long-term brand
yep,
builder. It's great for SEO. It's great for meeting cool people and being inspired and refining your thoughts
yes,
and validating your thesis
yes,
and getting to know new authors, etc. That's all cool, but that's all long-term brand building. You do it after you have your solid, let's say, 500,000 coming in a repeatable way, even when you're on holidays, and it's not so much dependent on you. Now you pull yourself out, and this is where we are right now. And then yeah, now you do everything that is joyful and brand building and community building, and podcast is a great way to do that.
yeah. I mean,
And
we
marketing
do
is a
like
great way to do that.
95% of the time I spend. That's my role at my company is the marketing lead generation strategist. That's my role. I spend 95% of my time. So we've tried everything in marketing, and we measure everything. We see what's the most effective. We see that's what's the most cost effective, the best clients that produce us the best revenue. And now after, over 10 years of doing this, we kind of know what our good marketing areas are. Um, Now podcasting is not one of those areas, you
Exactly.
know. So good.
I guess it's more direct things.
For us, it's SEO. For us, SEO has always been the biggest winner, and and for all my companies that I've ever built, no, well, one right now doesn't do it. The one company I have right now is which is one of my biggest companies, 25 million now. It's all word of mouth. It's all word of mouth. That company is so it's like relationship building. So
And for SEO, the podcast is really
yes,
wonderful, especially if you are on YouTube because it's a search engine, right?
yes.
And so I've been doing 450 episodes of the Strategy Sprints show, And so the word strategy sprints, if you now Google strategy sprints, we own the term. We are the internet in terms of those two words, and it's the same words of our main offer, the 90-day strategy sprints that doubles your revenue, and it's the same word as the book, and it's the same word as the company name. So for brand building, that is worth a lot, right? And that is worth doing 450 episodes for SEO. But if I would have started that in the first year below 500,000 revenue, that would have been a
Yeah,
distraction.
agreed. Well, it was a great conversation, very interesting. I was a little more engaged than I normally are in kind of giving my opinion, but it it lended itself to it. So I appreciate Simon letting me chime in a little bit. But that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank so very much Simon Severino from Strategy Sprints for coming on today's podcast. And if you like today's podcast, please feel free to share it with a friend, and also subscribe on your favorite podcasting app. And please, if you really like today's show or our past shows, please give us a 5-star review. Those contribute greatly to the algorithms that move our shows up, and so our listeners, so more people can listen to the show. And we greatly appreciate your review. If you're looking for a line of credit for your business, please feel free to give us a call at 862-207-4118 or visit our website at fscreditline.com. That's FS as in Financing Solutions, creditline.com. Simon, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
Strategysprints.com is where you can also download the daily flow that we talked about and the weekly habit. And on Amazon, you can find Strategy Sprints, which is literally the blueprints, the checklists that I use to run my businesses and that I share with my clients. And that's how they run their businesses, Strategy Sprints.
Great. Thank you very much, Simon, for coming on. Yeah. So just to summarize today, I think the 3 things that I heard from Simon. Number one, you got to know where you're spending your time and be proactive about where you're putting your time into. Your time is extremely valuable. Number 2 is you got to know your numbers, right? And what was the third one, Simon? I forgot the third one. Uh, I forget the third one right now, and Simon's already off. So, but those are 2, and maybe our listeners can remember the third one that went on. I know we talked about a lot of different things today. So, all right, very good. I want to thank everybody for coming on today. Have a great day, and please keep learning. It's the most important thing as an entrepreneur is to just keep getting better at what you do.